Okay, we'll be starting right now. At least we have waited. We have waited enough. So we don't take all the time. So my name is Henry. I'm the global admin manager for Hedge Global Technologies. So this webinar is basically for international job placement. We decided to create this episode of the webinar in order to educate people, especially those whose intention is to travel via the work route, because we have different routes to travel abroad. It's not just the education route. Before, people can travel via tourism visa, and when they get to the country of their choice, they go there and declare asylum. But now, asylum is no longer in vogue. Asylum method of traveling is no longer in vogue because the countries, most of the travelers that traveled from mostly African countries or the Asian countries, when they get to the place of their intention or the place of their travel, they mostly come with fake report and all that. So the case for asylum has overwhelmingly gotten to its peak. So now traveling to go and seek for asylum outside the country is no longer in vogue. So we at Hedge Global, we don't advise those who want to travel abroad to go and seek asylum. We don't advise that because that traveling method doesn't pay. Most of the times when you most of the times when you go, you might end up getting your asylum application rejected and you'll be deported back to your own country. And the refugee camps and all that, the asylum camps, they are just not good for everybody. It's not what we advise. So I will not spend much time talking about asylum here. Then we also have the tourism method, where people travel for conferences, like maybe there's a conference that is about to take place in Canada or in US or in Europe or any part of the world. They look for such conferences. They book for the conference as though they want to go and attend that conference. And in the process of that, in the course of that conference, they actually pay for the conference. Is also a method of traveling abroad, a method of migrating to the European countries or other advanced countries. So when they go for these conferences, at the end of the day, they would not return. Sometimes they seek for asylum in the process. So those methods, or they go for tourism and all that, those packages are not what we specialize in Hedge Global Technologies. So we don't focus on those methods because they are not a guarantee method. The chances of being rejected or the chances of having your visa denial, I think, is more than 60 to 75 to 80%. So that is why we don't pay more attention on that traveling route. But for us here, our major focus is via the education route and the work route. So those are the basic things we are going to be talking about in the different episodes of this new webinars. This webinar is still going to hold next week, hopefully by God's grace. So we want to hold this section to talk about the work route. It's not just going to be about just me talking. At the end of the day, the The audience will be open to any person that have question or that want to comment. And in the course of this webinar, we are also going to talk about our available job placements, because we have new job placement. But for today, I'm just going to do a very brief introduction and how this whole thing works. We are not going to spend so much time today because this is our first episode, but we are going to dig more into this from the next episode. That's next Thursday. Still remember that we still have our Saturday webinars. They are also on. So this webinar is basically for Hedge Global Manpower. Hedge Global Manpower. Saturday's webinar is now strictly for Hedge Global Education. Hedge Global Education, all under Hedge Global Technologies. That's the mother company of the entire subsidiaries or subsidiary branches of Hedge Global. This is Hedge Global Group. We have Hedge Global Technologies, which we focus on the artificial intelligence, website development, web development, app development, and all that. We also have Hedge Global Properties, that is focused on renters, leasing, property sales, property renting, and all that. We also have Hedge Global Travels, which is focused on flight reservation, flight booking, and every damn thing pertaining your travel and your logistics. So Hedge Global, we are just focused on expanding our brand and simplifying, so that when someone is coming to us, we know that okay, fine, you want to travel, then you should go straight to Hedge Global Travels, because Hedge Global Travels, we are also developing a new standalone website for Hedge Global Travels, where you can easily book your flights, make reservations, get rentals of cars when you want to travel to other countries. So that is what Hedge Global Travels will be focused on. So, but for Hedge Global Manpower, or you call it Hedge Global Jobs, will be focused on employment, international job placement, and in subsequent time, when we start having fully funded job placements, that is full sponsorship job placement, it will come from Hedge Global Manpower. But for now, we are not going to be talking about full sponsorship. Now we are talking about self-sponsorship, because those are the jobs we have currently for Hedge Global Manpower. So now our focus for this traveling or migration thing is either you are traveling via the education route, or you are traveling via the job placement. That is international job placement. So this is how the process works. Hedge Global, we are the indirect job supplier. We are your job supplier directly, but indirectly we are working with your employer. So what we do is that we have secured agreements, partnership with our partners that are based in Europe. These are well-established recruitment or HR companies based in Europe. So these jobs are meant for those who already have rights to work in European countries. We have job placements. I think currently now we have job placements in Slovakia, we have in Albania, we have in Lithuania, we have in Latvia, we have in Montenegro, we have in Serbia, Estonia, Czech Republic, and we also have a package for Canada, but we are not going to talk about Canada today because Canada have a lot of delay. We also have packages for Germany and Poland, but we are not going to talk about Germany, Poland, Portugal, Canada. Why we are not going to talk about these countries is because they have waiting period. When I mean waiting period, these are terms that I'm going to break down in the course of the webinar. The waiting period I'm referring to now, the process of getting yourself in Europe, or the process of starting your job in Europe that the company that has employed you, it takes a bit of process. You know, you are migrating from your home country. Either you are migrating from Nigeria, or you are migrating from Ghana, or from any part of Africa. You are migrating from that country to become a legal resident in your new country of assignment. It takes a whole lot of process. It takes documentation, because remember, you are not going illegally, you are going documented. So this process you are going can lead to you becoming a permanent resident, or even becoming a citizen in that particular country, if you are able to stay long enough without committing any crime. So the process has to follow the due process. It has to follow the due process. The entire procedure has to follow the due process, which is part of what we are going to be talking about in the course of this webinar. We are going to be preparing those who have already started his or her process for the course of these international job placement um, packages. So now, first of all, we have different jobs. We have jobs in Slovakia, we have jobs in Albania, we have jobs in Lithuania, we have jobs in Latvia, in Montenegro, in Serbia, in Estonia, and in Czech Republic. Now, these whole countries, we have different kinds of job and in their different classification. I didn't mention here, we also have job in Luxembourg. We also have job in Luxembourg, which is still available, but Luxembourg, we have two batches. These ones, why I just mentioned them is because they are the most recent batches that came up. The jobs we have in Luxembourg, the first batch, the first application has already been submitted. So the second batch is what we are preparing to be submitted come first week of September. That means the close date for the application is next week. By next week, Luxembourg offer will be closed because the application, the first batch has already been submitted. We are preparing candidates who will be applying for the next batch. Now, the jobs we have, they are classified into three categories. We have the skilled, the semi-skilled, and the full professional scale jobs. But most times, the full professional scale jobs, they don't come often. The only place we have the full professional scale jobs currently is in the Luxembourg offer. That is where we have that particular package. And also we have it in the German offer. But the reason why we cannot talk about the German offer is because the waiting time for Germany takes longer. The German waiting time takes longer. So we are not going to emphasize more on the German on the German job because the waiting period takes longer. But we are going to focus more on the ones that are very attainable. I'm talking about jobs that you can, like for instance, jobs in Serbia within 66 working days. 66 working days, I'm talking about at least 5 weeks or so, you will find yourself in your place of assignment. That is Serbia. But the only challenge for Serbia and Albania is that they are not yet part of the Shanghai region. They are only located in Europe, but they are not yet in the Shanghai region. But for Slovakia, for Lithuania, Latvia, Montenegro, no, Estonia and Czech Republic, they are all part of the Shanghai region. But these other ones can take somewhere around 3 to 4 months. Now, let me talk about the classification of jobs. I'm just rushing because I just want us to wrap up this whole thing, because this particular first episode is more of introduction. I'm just going to talk about the different aspects of jobs that we have and how the process works. Then when we come to our next episode, that is next Thursday, we are going to be breaking it down step by step, how and what is required of every candidate, what you can do while you are waiting, and what you are expected to do when you have arrived, how your family can join you later. We are going to be talking about all that, how to position yourself. Sometimes somebody who has a very low budget, we can also talk about how you can scale your traveling process from your low budget down to the place of your dream. This whole thing, we are doing it because we have seen that this travel industry, a lot of fake agents that come up here and there, they are all there trying to spoil the reputation of those who are making efforts to help people travel abroad. But Hedge Global, we are trying to make the difference. So that is why we are putting all these efforts to create this webinar to sensitize people. And all these things we are doing is because we want people to understand how this entire process works, the reason why we have charges for jobs, the reason why we have charges for jobs. Sometimes some people think that it is Hedge Global that gets all this money. No, we don't get all this money, just a fraction, a commission that comes to us, because those people who I told you primarily that are our counterparties in Europe, I mean to say the HR companies that work directly with these employers, they are the ones that need this your fund to do the needful for you to get to work. Because like I said, these jobs are not meant for Africans, because most people who are in Africa and they don't have the right to work in Europe. It's except maybe you are a citizen of any of the European economic countries, then you will have right to work in Europe. But so long as you are not a citizen of any of the European countries, your country does not fall under the Shanghai Agreement, then you have become a third country. The reason why we focus on Europe so much is because European waiting time is very minimal compared to Canada, compared to going to Australia. In fact, traveling to Australia, the visa alone is, we are talking about millions of naira, converting to the naira currency. So we don't want to talk about getting jobs in Australia, in America, in the UK, in Canada. We are just focused in the European zone because we found out that the European zone is more flexible. The European zone is more penetratable. That is why we focus on the European zone, and the opportunities are vast. We have over 29 European countries, that is, who are in the Shanghai region, that we can actually make do of. You can either choose. Once you are in a particular Shanghai country, you can either switch to another one. So that is why we focus on those Shanghai region, and not just all the countries. There are particular countries that we see that they have this kind of flexibilities. Those are the countries that we get, that we recommend for those who are traveling from Nigeria, especially, or from other African countries that also have visa or appointment delay issues. There are some countries in Africa, especially in the West African countries, that have to come to Nigeria for visa appointment and biometrics. So for those kind of countries, we also have to give this recommendation to them. But for those who are now in the European zone, who are already working there, who have work permits or the legal right to work in the European countries, we have other job packages that we can show to those clients, which is entirely different from what we are displaying here today. Not like we cannot show this to them, but what we are displaying to us is because of everything boils down to the current immigration situation of Nigeria, the current immigration status of the West African nations, Nigeria in particular. So that is why we focus on countries that have very low visa rejection cases. So now for Slovakia, we have different jobs. Now let me start with I'm going to start with, I didn't mention here that we have jobs in Croatia. We also have jobs in Croatia. So for Estonia, let me start with Estonia. We have jobs in Estonia. Now the eligibility criteria is well stated. So long as your country does not fall under the visa ban or the visa restriction. I'm not going to dwell more on the details of this job because today is just the introduction. I'm not going to dwell more on the details. I'm going to tell us the jobs we have in the different countries. In our next webinar, we'll talk about that. Now, for Estonia, we have jobs in the production industry. That is production workers in Tartu, Estonia. Tartu, Estonia. Men, women, couples can apply for this job. Men, women, and couples can apply. That means even if you are married, you and your wife can apply for this particular job in Estonia. You don't need any experience. There is no language required, and it's a manual job, just about manufacturing. The schedule is 12 shifts. 12 shifts between 0800 to 2000. Overtime is possible and is paid for. Now, the salary for this particular job is around 7.20 euros per hour, and the estimate per month is between 1,200 euros to 1,500 euros. That is a monthly estimate. Accommodation is provided, 2 persons per room with bathroom, but 300 euros will be minus from your salary. This particular job, 300 euros will be minus. We have meal during your work period. There is meal during your work period. These are the other benefits. There is medical insurance and paid leave. Medical insurance and paid leave. Official 1-year contract. Transportation to and fro to work is also available. Transportation to and fro to work is also available. Then we also have another job package for Estonia. Road cleaner. Road cleaner. Various locations in Estonia. Remember I said that the job is broken into different categories. We have the skilled job, we have the semi-skilled job, and we also have the underskilled, or we have the skilled job, semi-skilled job. The skilled job, I'm referring to the professional job. The professional job, that means, when I say professional, that means you have a degree. You have a degree. Like, for instance, you're a software developer and you have a degree in computer science, and you also have if you have a work experience, that is an added advantage. But if you have a degree to back that your skill, that means you fall under the professional or the skilled job. Then now, those ones that are called semi-skilled, they are those that maybe we call it you learned handwork or vocational training. For instance, you are also a web developer. Let me just use the computer field. You're also a web developer, but now you don't have a degree, but you went for training. Maybe you studied in Coursera online training, you took an online training, or you did a vocational kind of training. Then you fall under the semi-skilled. Even though you are a web developer, you don't have a degree, you don't have a BSc or HND, so you cannot be placed in the same category with one who has a degree. Though your experience may tell, but I'm telling you the truth, it's not like in Nigeria where they pay people anyhow. No. When you travel outside the country, your degree matters. Then we talk about your experience and how long you have been practicing in that your field. So then those who are classified under the underskilled, they are those who don't even have any skill. It's not like they don't have a skill, they have a skill, but because the particular skill they have, there is no job for it. So, but they just want to do the job that is available. So those ones, they are classified under the underskilled or no skill at all. Now, don't look down on any particular job. The most important thing is that you are finding yourself in your country of destination. Now, I'm going to take the process again. I'm going to talk about this Estonia again. Remember I said this webinar is the first episode. Is the first episode of this webinar. So in our next episode, we are going to expatiate more on the entire process. But I just want to give us a quick breakdown on this particular Estonia job I've been talking. For those who are joining us, this video is being recorded. It will be processed and uploaded in our YouTube channel. We now have a YouTube channel. It's just new. So you can join our YouTube channel. The links will be shared. It's a new channel. You can subscribe. These videos will be posted there. So I said for the Estonia job, I was talking about the Estonia job for those who are just joining us. We have job in the production industry, production workers in Tartu, Estonia. Tartu, Estonia. Estonia is a Shanghai country. I said, who can apply? Men, women, and couples. That means even if it's husband and wife. Remember I said couple, not family. Family is different from couple. Couple is husband and wife. Family is husband, wife, children, mother-in-law, everybody. This is couple. That means you and your wife want to go and work before you bring your children. Or, I don't want to talk about all those gay or lesbians. In the European nations, they refer them as couples. But I'm not an advocate of such. So, but couples, if you are legally married, you and your spouse and you can apply for this job. There will be room available for you. But if you are single, you can also apply. This is the job description. There is no language requirement. That means you don't need to speak Estonian language. Experience preferred but not mandatory. That means if you already have experience in the production industry, remember what I said, your degree plus your experience gives you an extra edge. Your diploma certificate plus your experience gives you an edge. You are dealing with international bodies. This is not Nigeria, where most times they play down on our experience. Your experience matters. You cannot compare somebody who has experience, 4 years or 5 years experience as an engineer with just a school graduate. No, it's not possible. You can't compare them together. You can't compare them. It's not possible. So I said your experience is not mandatory, but if you have experience, it is a plus for you. So that means you may start earning higher or you have a higher role. Then I said the work type is manual because it's manufacturing, but you are not the machine. There's a machine that is doing the production. Remember the labor laws. These are part of the things we are going to be discussing in the course of these webinars. The European labor laws are more human considerate. The welfare system in Europe is far better than you can think of where you are currently working in Nigeria or any part of Africa. You understand? And also, I will tell us the reason why we don't allow people to get the jobs and go and start working before they pay. Those are the things that we'll be talking about in this webinar. The reason why we don't allow people to get the jobs, then when they start working, they pay. We have such kind of package in Canada, in the Canadian job offers, where you pay some part, just a little token of fractions, and then you travel to your place of assignment. This one now is your employer that will be deducting the money from your salary. Those are the kind of packages that we are looking at for in the future. But the reason why we cannot do that in Europe is because your work permit, when it comes, is an open work permit, and there's no employer that has right to tamper with your salary. Whatever is not in your contract, if your employer dares tampers with whatever is not stated in your contract, you have the right to sue that employer. And there is no way we as Hedge Global, we can issue a contract that is not part of what your employer is giving to you. So that is why we have to make sure that anything pertaining to your job, preparation of your documents, the necessary payments for the document preparations, we have to make sure that you settle everything here before you travel. So that is why. So now let me go back to the details of this particular job. Then we have one of the requirements I said is a manual kind of job because it's in the manufacturing industry. The schedule for this Estonia is a 12-hour shift, 12-hour shift. So that means if you go to work, let me say for instance, you start working by 8 o'clock in the morning, you are working 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. By 6 thereabout, you close for the day. But if you are very energetic, you can also do overtime. Overtime is possible and is provided for. You will be paid for your overtime. And I said accommodation is provided for. 2 persons per room, 2 persons per room with bathroom. 2 persons per room with bathroom. But for this particular Estonia job, 300 euros will be deducted from your salary per month. 300 euros will be deducted. Then the salary is around 7.20 euros per hour, and between 1 to 500, 1,000, around 1,500 euros per month. So when they deduct that 300, that means you will be going home with at least 1,200 per month. But remember, this does not include overtime. So if you do, maybe you have 12 hours of work, if you're able to do, like, call it 14 hours, remember this 12 hours is just between Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday. So if you are able to work in Sundays, sorry, I didn't say Sunday, in Saturdays, and you are not doing 12 hours, maybe you are doing 14 or 15 hours, there is no way the person who is doing 12 hours will be getting the same pay with you. So you will be earning more. Then other benefits, there is meal for this Estonia job during your work period in the factory. There is lunch in the factory, and that lunch you're only paying 1 euro. 1 euro. And other benefits include medical insurance. Medical insurance, you have paid leave. That means you have leave. If you have worked there, when your time for leave comes, you will be paid. Even if you travel, maybe you want to come back home to see your family, that period you have traveled, if it's a 7 days leave or 14 days leave, they will pay you for it. They will be paying you that 7.20 euros per hour, even if you are not working. That is what a paid leave is all about. There is transportation to and fro to work. Transportation to and fro to work provided by the employer. Then this other job is road cleaner in various locations in Estonia. Remember the other one I said is in Tartu. You can browse where is Tartu in Estonia. That place is Tartu, Estonia. But this other one is road cleaner in various locations in Estonia. Who can apply? Men and women 18 to 50 years. Remember the other one allows couple to apply, but this one couple cannot apply. Language, basic English is preferred. The other one, there is no language preference, but this basic English is preferred. Experience not required. Work type, road and public area maintenance. Road and public area maintenance. Schedule 40 hours per week. 40 hours per week. Then the salary is between 7.20 per hour, which is calculated at 900 to 1,100 per month. Responsibilities, garbage collection, cleaning bus stops, and road, removing leaves and debris on the road. Accommodation and transportation is provided by the employer. This one you are not paying anything. Accommodation and transportation is provided by the employer. Meals not provided. Then the next package here is road construction worker. Road construction worker in Estonia. That means construction worker in Estonia. Who can apply? Men and women 18 to 50 years, not couple. No couple here. Language, English is basic and is preferred. Experience not required, but construction experience an advantage. construction experience. And I remember I said, when you have your degree, you have your experience, you will never be treated the same with somebody who does not have. So all these things will play in. Most times, some people, they have not traveled, but they will start talking about all the degrees, all the experience they have. No, sometimes just get into the system first. Have the legal right to work. These are the things we'll talk about in our Saturday's webinar, but in the course of this particular webinar now, we are going to be expatiating more on this. First of all, get into the system. Some people, they will stay here, they will say, how much will they be paying me? Can I start negotiating my salary? No, you are not a footballer. Even footballers, when they are not yet in the European system, maybe for instance, a European club want to buy a footballer that is not yet known from Africa or from their own country. At that point, you wouldn't start negotiating. You understand? You wouldn't start talking about, I want to be paid this amount or this amount. No. Allow yourself to enter into the system. When you enter into the system and you create value, you put your you make your impact first, then you will start discussing about salary increments, or you start vying for other big opportunities. But now you are not yet in the system. The government has not even taken decision on your application. You want to start talking about how you are supposed to be paid 20 euros per hour. No, things, we don't operate like that. That is why we are making these webinars available. So now for this road construction, I'm going to wrap up with this, so that if you have questions, we can start talking about it. After now, those who want to ask questions, either you can type it or you can open your microphone and talk about it, because we don't have enough time remaining again. Please, the next session is going to be holding next Thursday. Now, for the road construction worker in Estonia, who can apply? Men and women 18 to 50 years. Language requirement, basic English is preferred. Basic English is preferred. Experience not required, but like I said, construction experience is a very big advantage. Work type, road construction. Remember, road construction, if you have, let me just say, those who are in Nigeria has been undergoing several construction, especially those who are in Abuja or in other parts of the country, even in other Eastern Africa, in Kigali, in Rwanda, in Africa and other countries all over the world. Often and on, road construction has been going on. Now, if you look at road construction, you'll find out that there are different categories of people. In fact, anything construction, there are different categories of skills that are required. We have those who are just helpers, those who are laborers, we have the engineers, we have the architects, we have the site supervisors. You understand? All these things, all this group of professionals, they are all required for a good or standard road construction. So if you have a skill and you are found in that kind of company, you should know that it will be a good advantage for you. Then also, for this work is a 40-hour shift, 40 hours work per week. Overtime is very possible. Salary is between 7.20 euros per hour. That's around 1,100 per month. Overtime paid separately. Overtime is paid separately, like I said. And reading out these job offers, this is not what we created. These are the offers we are getting from our partners. So that's why I'm reading them out from my phone. But in the course of our next webinars, I'm going to put them on the screen. But I'm reading them out exactly as the offers you are sent to us. That is how I'm reading them to you. So the accommodation and transportation for this particular job is provided for. Accommodation and transportation is provided for. Remember, I said overtime is possible. Responsibility, earthworks, road-based preps, asphalt laying, cubes, tiling, site tax and all that. Meals for this particular tax is not provided. Meals not provided. Now, if you are interested in Estonia, you are going to reach out to our contact. You can reach out to our support or send us an email via jobs@hedgeglobaltechnologies.com. You can reach out to us here. This is the email you will use to reach out to us. Reach out to us via this email, jobs, if you are interested in Estonia. Now, this particular Estonia job is not a fully sponsored job. It's a self-sponsored job. It's a self-sponsored job. That means you are the one to take care of your document preparation, your work permit, and your visa processing. This particular job falls under the categories of self-sponsored job. I told us from the beginning of the webinar, we have two job classifications that we always talk about: fully sponsored jobs and self-sponsored jobs. Now, there are some self-sponsored jobs that are more expensive than the other, and there are other ones that are less expensive. There is no job that requires you to do your 100% commitment, because there is a part we have to play, and when we get to a particular stage where we will need more resources from you, more funds from you, we will let you know. Now, for the last part of this Estonia job is reinforced concrete plant worker. Reinforced concrete plant worker. Who can apply? Men, women, between 18 to 50 years. Language, basic English is preferred. Experience preferred in concrete and reinforcement. Training. Remember, this particular job, training is possible. That means this particular job requires training. So training is possible. Work type, concrete production and reinforcement tasks. Concrete production and reinforcement tasks. Schedule 40 hours per week. Overtime is very possible. Salary 7.20 per hour and is around 1,300 per month. Responsibilities: prepare molds, laying, reinforcement, pouring or compacting concrete, removing formwork, following safety standard. Requirements: physical stamina, responsibility, teamwork, willingness to learn. Accommodation and transportation is provided for. Health insurance covered by employer under Estonian law. Meals not provided for. Now, if you want to understand where the salary comes from, you can go to Estonia immigration or Estonia website, their government website. You can type on your Google, what is the minimum wage? The minimum wage for Estonia workers, minimum wage for foreign workers or immigrant workers in Estonia. You are going to see the amount. They will not pay you. Listen, I want us to understand this. You will not be paid lower than the minimum required government wages. There is a minimum wages. Just like we have in Nigeria, they say this, I don't know if it is 80,000 or 75,000. They say this, the minimum wage. I can't remember because we don't follow their minimum wage. We pay above that. So for those countries, it is mandatory. You cannot pay somebody below the required minimum wage, and their own minimum wage is calculated per hour. So if the country has set, like for instance in Portugal, you can't pay anybody below 4 euros per hour, because those are low income countries. When I say low income, I'm not saying they don't have money. What I mean is their salary rate is not high, because cost of living in those countries, they are very low. Just like for instance, those who are going for Luxembourg, you can be getting salary as high as 40 euros per hour. 40. I'm telling you the truth. There are some jobs that can even pay up to 50 euros per hour, because those are high income countries. Cost of living in Luxembourg is very expensive. You can be expecting to pay rent around 1,200, sometimes 2,000. For a single studio apartment in Luxembourg, you can do around 1,000 to 1,200. For a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, you can be doing around even 2,000, 2,500, depending on the apartment. But with 1,000 euros, you can live comfortably in Portugal. 1,500 euros, you can live comfortably in Portugal. You can pay your rent, pay electricity bills, still have your savings in Portugal. So that is the difference. So wherever they have low cost of living, the minimum wage will be lower. Wherever they have high cost of living, the minimum wage will be higher. But for me, I advise you, whatever you know you can do, you will do whatever will benefit you more. High cost of living, there are still lower places where you can stay. Remember, in Luxembourg, transportation is free. For our Luxembourg offer, we are going to be talking about it, maybe a brief of it on Saturday. So right now, the webinar will soon be coming to an end. If you have questions you want to ask, or you have any points, any place you want me to clarify for this particular details I've given us, please reach out to us now. The price of processing these documents, you can reach out to these our support agents. They are going to give you more breakdown. We don't want to start talking about price because this is a public broadcast. So if you want the details of how to start your application, you can write us an email on how I can start my Estonia application via jobs@hedgeglobaltechnologies.com.ng or info@hedgeglobaltechnologies.com.ng, or you can reach out to us via our WhatsApp support agent. If you are part of our job and education group for 2026, you can also chat us there now. Reach out to admin there and ask for how you can go about your Estonia job application. We still have other job applications in the course of our webinars next week. We are going to be talking about it, but for Saturday, because we didn't have enough time today, on Saturday I'm also going to talk about more on these offers. I'm going to talk more on these offers. Please don't miss Saturday. Saturday by 6, we have our webinar by 6. I'm going to talk more on these offers. We're also going to talk about the education offer. Now, for our frequent webinar attendees, we have been taking note of them. There will be a particular package we have for them for education. And for those who do references, who refer people to us, I want you to know that we are also taking note, and we also have a package for you. So please, if you have any question, you can ask while the webinar is still on. Otherwise, we are going to call it a day for today because it's already late. So some of us are just coming back from our business places and we are tired. So we need to go and rest. So if you have any question, you need any point to be clarified, you can ask your questions. So you can ask your questions. I'm listening. If you want, if you are talking or if you are typing, please ask your questions. Otherwise, we are going to be ending this webinar here. I'm also going to talk about, please remember I said we're also going to talk about international profiling. All those things are the things we'll be learning in the course of our webinar. International profiling, what is required for international profiling. We're also going to talk about them. How we profile candidates and all that. You need a Europass CV. That's a standard, the standard application. No. Frida, you're asking fully sponsored jobs. No, for now, fully sponsored jobs are not available. We only have self-sponsored job. I said we have a kind of partial full sponsored job for Canada. But why I will not talk about Canada is because the waiting period is long. Yes, that Canada job, I think as low as 500 Canadian dollars, 500 Canadian dollars can get you started the process, because when you have arrived in Canada, you are going, the total package of that job will be deducted from your salary. So why I don't want to talk about that Canada job is because the process is long. I don't want to talk about what will keep you waiting. Some people, they don't have patience. Once they see that their process have stayed 5 months, 6 months, they will think it's not working. So let's do what is going to work. What is going to work faster? Sorry. Let's do what will work faster, at least 3 months, 4 months. Like for those who are looking at Serbia, Albania, those ones, they are 66 days. 66 working days rather. That is 5 weeks. 5 weeks, or call it 2 months. It should be set for traveling. But remember, Serbia and Albania, they are not under Schengen, but they are just in the European Union. But Serbia shares border with Hungary and with Greece. Albania shares just a ship cross between Italy, and also shares a land border, water border with Italy, and land border with Greece. And Greece is under the Shanghai Agreement. So that is that. So for now, we only have self-sponsored job. We don't have fully sponsored job. We have fully sponsored education for those who want to travel via study. Fully sponsored education. Now, for some of us who think that these things are not okay, so our meeting will be ending soon. We have been given the notification. So please, I want to deeply appreciate everyone who was part of this webinar. I want to thank you for this international job placement webinar, the first episode. This is the first time we are having this kind of webinar. We want to appreciate everyone. Thank you so much for your commitment. Thank you so much for believing in Hedge Global Technologies, which is now our brand name is Hedge Global Group. But this webinar package was brought to you by Hedge Global Manpower, the job aspect of Hedge Global Group. Hedge Global Manpower, thank you very much for the team of Hedge Global Manpower and everyone that has made this webinar a huge success. God bless you. See you in our next episode. Bye for now.